What are the determinants of LWE in eastern part of India? What strategy should government of India, civil administration and security forces adopt to counter the threat in the affected areas? What is the framework?
Sir, a small doubt. So drug trafficking, which I have written for non-state actors, is it non-state or it is also external state actors only?
See, drug trafficking, it is not actually external state actor. It is a non-state actor. Okay, like no state is officially sponsoring. See, maybe there may be a state which is involved in trafficking the drug. We don't know. But at least we don't have, like, for example, there are two things, right? The Golden Crescent and the Golden Triangle. These two are the two places where drug trafficking is very famous, and hence we feel that being closer to Golden Crescent makes the Punjab vulnerable. But then we do not have proofs that, you know, Iran is doing this or Pakistan is doing this. There are people who are doing drug trafficking. State is supporting them or not, we don't know.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, please. Next, this one, second question, framework. Determinants of LWE. How many marks was it, Sriram?
250 words, sir. First two are 250 words.
So maybe if
Remaining
you want to see, there are two frameworks. You can, yeah. The recent framework is what I was trying to say. Who has given this? Sumant. Yes. Within measures, you can write about individual agencies because he has named them. Okay. Like strategy followed by Government of India, strategy followed by civil administration, strategy followed by security forces. Because though on the whole, there are all the strategies followed by these particular agencies go together, to further break up, you can write to give more clarity. So what would be this thing is, give an introduction briefly about the left-wing extremism. Okay, left-wing extremism, obviously we all know it started in 1960s. It started in a place called Naxalbari in West Bengal. Okay, and hence it is called Naxalism sometimes. Okay, it was started by a section of Communist Party of India who called themselves as people who are grouped. Okay, so they started this Naxalbari. So not a detailed discussion about that, 1 or 2 lines. Okay, and then you can say that over a period of time, this became a very violent movement, and then has impacted many states and many tens of districts, and that entire, now it is called Red Corridor, and significantly impacting the eastern part of India. Yes, it is significantly impacting the eastern part of India. Then what are the determinants of left-wing extremism? So the first side heading you will give will be the determinants of the extremism. Okay, what will be the determinants of the extremism? Yes, what will be the determinants of extremism? What are the major issues which the Eastern India, or see, what is the root cause of the left-wing extremism? There is some concept involved here. That's why, I'm taking the time. One is the land issue, land displacement, development projects, and who are the population maximum living in the eastern areas? They are the tribal groups. Yes, underdevelopment, exploitation. All these are the determinants. Determinants means what are the factors responsible for this so-called left-wing extremism? Yes, forced displacement. So you have to project all these. Then only you will justify, because left-wing extremism is a philosophy. Though it is a violence-based philosophy, it is having certain roots. What are the roots? What is the land-related issues? The land displacement of tribals. First is the main issue is the land displacement of the tribals. The tribal land or the forest land is being taken away for the development projects without their consensus most of the times. The so-called FRA, the Forest Rights Act, is not implemented in toto. That is also one of the reasons for still the perpetuating left-wing extremism. Okay, the state is in hand in glove with the crony capitalists and allowing them to take away the lands of tribals. The first issue is the land displacement or the displacement of the tribal groups, which is then when the tribal groups are displaced, what happens? The next logical thing is their livelihood is impacted. Their livelihood is impacted. And then the next issue, the serious complaint they have is lack of infrastructure. Lack of infrastructure. And then no proper preference or priority in the governance. No proper preference or priority in the governance. What are the other issues which are determinants of apathy of the state? You can, if you want to use much more sophisticated jargon, you can use apathy of the state. And then poverty. Poverty is one of the very important reasons. Okay, all these are the determinants of the left-wing extremism. So strategy of the government. What is the first strategy of the government? What should the government do? Now you know the determinants. What are the issues which are plaguing the left-wing extremism? You have to write the measures or the strategy the government should follow. So now that you know the reasons, what should the government do? What should the civil administration do? And what should the security forces do? What should the government do? First tell me. Government has to
developing infrastructure.
Developing infrastructure, okay. And then they have to ensure that the governance is taken to the last mile. They have to ensure that the governance is taken to the last mile. The service delivery should be improved. The welfare schemes should be implemented. Infrastructure should be there. Roads should be laid. Employment opportunities should be created. Educational literacy rate should be improved. These are the governance aspect. What should the civil administration do? Educate the local youth, sensitize them, and not encourage violence. Means you should help sensitize them in such a way that they are not under the influence of Naxalism. What else they can do? They can help the security agencies by providing proper infrastructure. And implementation of government schemes is in the onus of civil administration. Implementation of government schemes. So this is what civil administration can do. Auditing, yes, auditing and monitoring of these government schemes, social audit, all these are on the onus of coordinating with the local self-governments. And then what is the role of security forces? Intelligence, stopping the violence, protecting the public infrastructure, engaging with the youth, conducting combing operations, ensuring that the people who are going for violence will not get access to any funds and ammunition. So all these are the strategies to be followed by the various agencies or the wings of the government. And then finally conclude. What do you want to conclude?
Winning hearts and minds of the people.
Hearts and minds. Who is this? Jitender, was it you?
Yes, sir.
You want to send yoga guru or what? Hearts and minds.
End of the day, winning hearts and minds of the local people is important.
Hearts and minds, government is trying to win from long time. So, see, standard conclusion for left-wing extremism related questions is always write this. The government should go for multi-pronged approach. Previously, it used to call as two-pronged approach. And if you take any topper's interview, okay, this is a standard answer. So sometimes, I went to a mock interview. I'll share that story. See, I went to a mock interview, one so-called ranker. Now they are ranker today. So they are in front of me and the panel asked them, what do you do, XYZ, to stop the left-wing extremism in India? So they started, sir, we have to have two-pronged strategy. And all the four panelists said, stop it. You are the fifth person or the sixth person saying this answer. Tell something innovative. So this two-pronged strategy is almost running from 1990s. Now we are in 2022. The answer has not changed. So instead of two-pronged, write multi-pronged. What do you mean by multi-pronged? See, we are maintaining the approach as same. Two-pronged, what they used to say, develop infrastructure, stop violence. That is a two-pronged strategy for left-wing extremism, where you are from 15 years, they are writing the same thing in the answers, in the interviews. Okay. But you write multi-pronged. Multi-pronged, what it means is, you're talking about development, you're talking about stopping the violence, no problem. You are talking about the advent of technology. Okay, this Samadhan doctrine, which has been recently brought into picture when Rajnath Singh was the Home Minister, they brought in this Samadhan doctrine. It is actually a multi-pronged strategy. If you see in Samadhan doctrine, H stands for harnessing technology. So you have to bring in technology. You have to bring in the cell towers. You have to use the drones. So it's not only just laying the roads and stopping the violence. They'll come and blast the road. Then what will you do? So it's a multi-pronged strategy. One more aspect of multi-pronged strategy is sensitizing the youth, empowering the youth, bringing the youth into the main fold. So it's no more like I'll just develop the infrastructure and stop the violence. The infrastructure will take care of itself. After 20 years, these roads will make people non-violent. So we are not in that hope anymore. We are going aggressive. So when you want to go aggressive, you have to have a multi-pronged approach. Means you are anticipating something and then trying to target it beforehand. So in your answer, you write, we have to follow a holistic multi-pronged approach, which not only builds the infrastructure as well as the targets the violence, but also implements technology where we have to sensitize local people, cut the access to the funds. In this context, the Samadhan doctrine, which has been proposed by the government, is the ideal way forward to tackle the multiple challenges posed by the left-wing extremism. And if you want, you can just expand Samadhan. Okay, Samadhan, SAMADHAN. Samadhan means the complete form. I also forgot. If you can remember that, it is a good thing. Okay, Samadhan. Anyone what is Samadhan?
But I wrote in my
What you wrote in some answer?
form of Samadhan.
Okay, what is Samadhan?
Smart leadership, aggressive strategy, motivation and training, actionable
It's good
intelligence.
to remember. See, actually, it is good to remember. At that time when I wrote mains, I remembered, but now, if the need requires, again I can remember, no problem. So better to remember. See, as Samadhan, smart leadership, aggressive strategy, motivation and training, actionable intelligence. You see, actionable intelligence, that means one step ahead of the Naxalism. Aggressive strategy, smart leadership, dashboard based key result areas, harnessing technology, you see, harnessing technology, and then action plan for each theater, and finally no access for funding or financing. Okay, very important thing, you can remember this. Okay, so this is Samadhan doctrine. If you byheart it for 2 or 3 times, you will easily remember, not a problem. Okay, so this answer is clear.